Okay, Stan. So, what were some of your incentives along with?
I'm sorry.
What were some of the reasons, along with other sailors, like why you enlisted in the U.S. Navy?
I was drafted
Okay.
out of high school. I had just graduated from high school,
Hmm.
and in June of that year, of 44,
Okay.
and I turned 18 in July of that year. So that was the age that we were drafted during the war. The war was still raging at that time, and I was no hero. I served in the Navy for 2 years until 46. It was a popular war. All the country was, we were isolationist until Pearl Harbor,
Right.
and after then, uh, everyone got behind it. Anytime people saw a serviceman on the street or anywhere else, they would buy him a drink or take him to dinner or
Right.
whatever. So it was, everyone got through the uh,
Um, and my next question for you. So, what was your initial reaction to America's involvement in the war? Like when we declared war on Japan.
I'm sorry.
What was your reaction when America declared war on Japan? Like when we were officially involved?
Well, it was outrage. The whole country was outraged that Japan would dare to do something like that, particularly when their diplomats were talking peace at the White House.
Okay. So I know you said you weren't in the war during Pearl Harbor, but what personal effects did the bombing have on you when you were in high school?
What personal what?
Like effects did the bombing of Pearl Harbor have on you when you were in high school?
Well, the whole country was absolutely shocked that we thought of Japan as a neutral.
Right.
Maybe how soon after did it go?
Um, so were you in favor of fighting back against Japan and dropping the bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki?
Absolutely.
Do you want to like elaborate why a little bit? Like why you thought it was a good idea at the time?
Yes, I do. I was served in as a pharmacist mate.
As a what?
A pharmacist mate.
Okay.
That's what it is.
What's a pharmacist made?
I'm sorry?
What is a pharmacist made? Like what is that? What do they
A
do?
pharmacist mate is, I guess you could call him a nurse. He traveled with the fleet, with the Marines. And he backed up the Marines and took care of the Marines when they were shot.
Right.
Now, I was no hero, and I did not want to go following up Marines. So I didn't have much of a choice, but I did have a choice, actually. There were 600 some odd students at pharmacy school, pharmacist mate school, and they took the top 5% that graduated, and they would get their choice of a billet. And I was lucky enough to fall into that 5%. So I spent the war, and my first choice was New York, which was my home, but I didn't get it, and they sent me to California. San Diego Naval Base, Naval Hospital, where I served, and you had asked me why.
Like why you thought that the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki was a good idea?
Well, because I saw the wretched condition of our Marines, who I treated. And heard their stories of torture and whatever.
Okay.
And so I had no love for the Japanese.
Right.
And I was certainly in favor of their internment by the government.
Were you involved in any main naval battles, like the Battle of Coral Sea, Midway, or Okinawa?
No.
So were you at the military bases, like during those battles, like naval bases?
Yes, San Diego. And then I got lucky enough that I was transferred to Asbury Park, New Jersey,
Right.
which was a naval hospital at that time. One of the big hotels there. I forget the name of it. One of them was the Monterey, and there was an adjoining hotel to it. I remember the name of it.
That's okay. What were some of your specific tasks?
I'm sorry?
What were some specific tasks that you had to do as a pharmacy maid, like during the war?
I accompanied bodies.
You accompanied who?
Bodies with their belongings to turn over to. I would accompany an officer who would present these things to the families of deceased servicemen.
So you had to go with the soldiers who had died?
Yes. Sailors, Navy.
Right.
And I performed nursing duties in naval hospitals.
So, what was the significance of D-Day for the naval Allied forces?
What?
How important was D-Day for the naval Allied forces?
Well, it was very vitally important. It turned the tide of war and gave people a lot of hope. And of course, Iwo Jima was a big part of it too.
What was?
Iwo Jima.
So, what did an Allied victory mean to United States citizens during the time period? Like, how important was the victory to you guys?
How important was what?
How important was the Allies' victory to the United States, like back at home?
Well, of course, it was vitally important. I mean, for a while it looked like Mr. Hitler was going to take over the world.
And what were some of the post-war effects back home? Like, what were some of the things that changed between the period before the war and then afterwards?
Well, after the war, the economy was booming, and it was the rise of the middle class in this country. And of course, the GI Bill did an enormous amount to further that end.